Mirav, let go.
Plans for the
Maybe we should.
not used to cooking like a meal for.
I know.
I know, this is really strange.
Do you order food out? Do you pick up food curbside?
We picked up a few.
Oh, the speaker.
Shalom, everyone. Shana Tova.
Want to turn up the volume, Mira?
It is up.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, Baruch
All
Hashem.
right. Amazing.
I'll sit
Oh,
closer.
look, Svi has his mask.
I know. I see.
So cute.
Yeah, they won't be able to see
I
it.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We could pull a chair right here. If somebody else needs a chair. We're still rearranging chairs. Isn't that like the classic family last minute issue? Who's sitting where? So welcome to our home. Some of you were able to spend the Pesach Seder for Passover with us. Here we are again. New holiday, new Seder, and we're new people. We've moved through to a new year, and we're new people ready for new beginnings. So we're so excited to have this Rosh Hashanah Seder with you. There is actually a Haggadah that I sent out the link for. There are still people coming in.
They're coming in every single time. I'm
great.
sorry.
So
I'm
you're in
watching
charge.
it. Don't
Okay,
worry.
perfect. Okay, great. So there's actually a Haggadah that if you would like to follow along, it may be helpful. I shared the link with folks ahead of time because it may be hard to toggle between the screen with the Haggadah and the Zoom. So if you have it printed out, like I printed it out old school for myself, that's helpful. If you want to click on that link, you can. If you don't know where that link is, you can just very easily, I'm too far from the computer, but you can just very easily Google Schusterman, which is spelled the Jewish way, Schusterman, Haggadah. Mayrav's gonna help me out. Oop,
What'd you say?
she's gonna get to the chat box. Schusterman Haggadah.
I think someone put it in already.
Oh, maybe somebody else did it already. Fantastic.
Is it in there?
Yeah.
Bonnie, rockin'. Look at that. Awesome.
Mensch. All right, so a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. First of all, you all are Zoom pros at this point, so you know that it's helpful to stay on mute until we have opportunities for some interaction, just to keep background noise down. The second thing is that you may want to toggle between speaker view and gallery view. And if you look up, it depends on your device, but usually at the top right corner, there's a little spot that says view, and you can, I personally love having the gallery view. It's so beautiful to see all of your faces and just to feel our togetherness. The last piece of housekeeping that I would love to share is if you would be willing to rename yourself, first of all, in the spirit of Rosh Hashanah, but more practically, to put the names of the people who are in your gathering or name of the person who is in your gathering on your Zoom box. It's just really nice so we know who's there. So you may want to, if you don't know how to rename yourself, you go usually up to the top right corner of your little square, your box, and you'll see 3 dots and a little scroll down menu where it says rename. And then you can enter in as much as there is room for, depending on the size of your family, as many names as you can fit in. I'll give you a minute to do that.
It's so wonderful to see everyone. Oh my gosh, Mary's
Mary's here. Mary.
Oh my God.
And I will tell you, oh my goodness, there are not only people here from Raleigh,
Yes.
but I see friends that used to be in Raleigh, like the Checkaways
Yep.
and the Pinker,
Yeah.
Rockman Pinker family,
Awesome.
and people from far and
Big
wide. So
big
how
mix.
about just to get started, you'll put in the chat box, just tell us where you're coming from.
Yeah. If you're outside of Raleigh, especially.
Yeah.
Traveling without
Where
the
are we,
traffic.
Mira? Which spot?
We're at the very top, right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Durham.
All right. May Rob's going to
Oh,
read them out.
Durham.
Durham, Seattle.
Yeah.
Got who else?
Plano.
Plano.
Nice.
Yeah, check over.
Chickwoods.
Where's Plano?
Near Dallas.
There's South Dakota.
Massachusetts.
Great.
Nice.
Never heard
Durham
Durham, there
again.
we go.
We love Durham people too.
Plano.
Can't read him on iPad. Okay, no problem.
I have no idea. I've never. heard
Awesome.
of Plano.
All right, great. Well, wherever you are, we welcome you. And we're going to get started. We're going to do things. Of course, the word Seder means order. And we're going to start by getting out of order. Because it's not quite the end of Shabbat. We're sort of just in that, what they call Ben Hashmashot, that in between space between the first day and the second day. So if you're looking at the Haggadah, and again, you don't have to, it's just maybe helpful. We're going to skip past, we're going to start with some introductory pieces. We're going to skip past candle lighting and kiddush and motzi, and then we're going to get right into the symbols of the Seder. And then we will conclude with candle lighting and with kiddush and with motzi. All right. So we're hoping that we're going to get a lot of interaction. Some of that will happen on the chat box. Again, you guys are Zoom pros at this point, so please feel free to use your chat box liberally. But there will be also moments to actually read aloud and to do some sharing as well. And we were really amazed over Passover how easily we were able to do that. So to begin, if you have a Haggadah in front of you and you would volunteer to read aloud, we're on page 5. And it says in the middle of page 5, the Rosh Hashanah Seder. Would somebody be willing to read that for us? And the easiest way to let us know that you want to read when there are lots of people is actually to write your name in the chat box, and Rob will find you.
Rob is our.
Can also raise their hand. but-
Marah
Oh, you
Sid.
can also raise your
Yeah.
hand. There's like a
Raising-
hand raising.
Yeah, option.
Mary
Option.
can.
Mary,
Mary.
awesome.
Okay, great. So just unmute yourself.
So Mary, go ahead.
Think Seders are only for Passover. Think again. In fact, there are a few Jewish holidays with Seder traditions, and Rosh Hashanah is one of them. The gist of the Rosh Hashanah iteration: there is an ancient custom to eat symbolic foods at the Rosh Hashanah meal, accompanied by blessings and wishes for the upcoming year. These foods are consumed in a particular order, a Seder. Do you want me to keep going, or is that it?
Oh, Mary, sorry. Yeah, please keep going, Mary.
Leave us off.
Okay, cool. The tradition of the Rosh Hashanah Seder is based on the following early Talmudic source. It appears twice with a slight variation in bold. Now
Yeah,
that you have said that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's great. Just read the little part at the bottom.
Okay, cool. Now that you have said that an omen is a significant thing, a person should always be accustomed to eating at the beginning of the year on Rosh Hashanah, a gourd, green beans, leeks, beets, and dates.
Beautiful. All right. So that's already from the Talmud.
Thank
So
you,
a
Mary.
text that is about 2,000 years old. And we're going to see how in beautiful Jewish tradition, things evolved over time. All right. Can I get another reader for the next paragraph?
Don't be shy, guys. Someone chatting? Or... Bonnie. Awesome. Look at Bonnie.
Great. Just unmute yourself, Bonnie. Great.
Okay, just continue on 6.
Yeah.
Based on the two different versions of the text, to see and to eat, two traditions evolved. One in which those present at the Rosh Hashanah meal ate the symbolic foods. The other in which they merely pointed to the foods and recited the corresponding wishes. They did not eat them. Classical commentators explain that the foods mentioned in the Talmud should be accompanied by wishes, blessings, thereby having the effect of inspiring a person to repent and perform good deeds. They add that one may use any food whose name carries with it the implication of a blessing, even if this is not related to the Hebrew name of the food.
Beautiful. So lots of possibilities. And again, even if you don't necessarily have these symbolic foods at the table, we have most of them at the table. And you can participate fully in the mitzvah by just pointing to it. In fact, I was sort of laughing as we were preparing for this meal. I'm still so full from lunch. I don't think I can eat any food. I might have to do some pointing myself. All right, so whether you eat or you point, you're fulfilling the mitzvah. Fantastic. So we're going to move right now into the symbolic foods of the Seder. And there's a Hebrew way to say symbolic foods, believe it or not. It's simanim. Simanim. Awesome. All right, is somebody willing to read the simanim section of the Haggadah, middle of page 6?
Sybil.
Great, Sybil,
Awesome.
go for it.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I'm not very close to the computer.
I can hear you. Okay.
Is it good?
Yep.
Okay. As Jewish history developed and the Jews were spread throughout diverse communities around the world, various customs emerged and additional symbolic foods were added, complete with blessings, wishes, and hopes. These have become known as the Rosh Hashanah simanim, the Hebrew word for symbols or signs. Some of these wishes are based on the symbolic nature or the shape of the food. For example, honey is sweet, pomegranates have many seeds, etc. Others are word plays reflecting the food's name. Originally, these puns were based on the Hebrew or Aramaic names of the foods, but local communities eventually invented new puns based on their local languages and dialects.
Keep going.
Rosh Hashanah Seder, with the foods mentioned in the Talmud, which is on page 5, was preserved mainly among the Jews of Sephardi and Middle Eastern descent. However, Jews from other lands, too, retained the basic concept of serving symbolic foods at the evening meal of Rosh Hashanah.
Great. Just finish it up on page 7. Thanks, Sybil.
Sure. This year, we hope to gather some of the best of the Rosh Hashanah Seder traditions from around the world, as well as add our own modern twists to this ancient custom. Below, we will explain some of the traditional simanim, symbolic foods and corresponding blessings, together with newer formulations for wishes and hopes that are relevant to our day.
I think they froze.
Our
Oh,
No,
shoot. Our
did
first
you
one.
freeze?
No.
Yeah, we're back. And it's on Facebook. Check, make sure we're on the right.
We are.
There's someone else?
Okay.
We are. Just went out
Maybe
for
we
a
should plug
second.
the thing out here. the
We
extra
don't. It
thing.
doesn't make any
Doesn't-
difference.
Just let it
Okay.
shut. I think we're.
So we're
still
having a
working.
little internet
You can grab my phone.
instability.
I can go grab. Okay.
We'll see if it just comes back, or Eric's gonna grab another device. Can folks hear us?
Yes, we can still hear you. You just
Yeah.
briefly.
The screen is frozen. Okay, so
I can go grab.
we'll proceed on, and hopefully the
You can
internet
go
will
hotspot.
return with its full force. All right, fantastic. So, as you heard mentioned and read so beautifully by Mary and Bonnie and Sybil, we're going to have these different simanim, which are essentially ways for us to use food as blessings and for us to create new blessings. And so obviously our first languages are Hebrew and Aramaic. That's what the blessings were based on. But we're going to use some English tonight. So if you don't already have some food puns up your sleeve in the form of blessings and wishes for all of us, for our community, it's not too late. You can start getting those creative juices going. I spent some time coming up with a pun finale, which will include some dessert that my kids don't know about. We are terrible at keeping secrets in our family, so we'll see if we can actually still pull this one off. But know that we'll have some time to make up our own blessings as well. Beautiful. All right, I'd love to have one more reader for the little section that's in green on page 7. It says dig deeper.
They can always see us. They can always see us.
What do you see other people moving?
Volunteer to read, somebody? Put your name in the chat box, you'll do it. Oh, I see.
Oh,
Is it Linda already?
Allison.
Allison? Okay.
I think Allison Checkway.
Great, Allison, go for it.
Okay, sure.
Memory plays a significant role in Judaism, especially on Rosh Hashanah. Remember Rosh Hashanah's biblical name, Yom HaZikaron, meaning the day of remembering. The symbolic foods of the Rosh Hashanah Seder help us to remember as well as to take action. By pointing to the foods and then eating them, we demonstrate how memory and action are connected and internalized. For the Maharal of Prague, blessing and eating symbolic foods are not meant merely as prayers and wishes, but are done to spur our small actions into more significant ones throughout the year. By eating apples and honey on Rosh Hashanah, we are not only wishing that we have a sweet year, we actually start the year off with a touch of sweetness. As Shammai said in the Talmud, say little and do much.
I could work on that.
I think our entire family could work on that, Abba. You're not alone in that one.
So beautiful. Thank you, Allison.
Shkaya.
It's such a brilliant pedagogical tool. I know there are a lot of teachers. I'm looking at Svi and Sherry, but I know there are many teachers on this call. But it's such a brilliant thing that our ancestors thought that they could teach and that we could bless and we could really embody what it is we're hoping for by eating. So that's what we're gonna do. Very Jewish. So if you do have a Haggadah in front of you or on your screen, you will see at a certain point that there is sort of like a big table, maybe
Diagram.
an oval, diagram, an infograph with all of the foods that we're going to use. And if you look at different Haggadot that are designated for Rosh Hashanah, you will definitely see variant foods, which is so Jewish also. But these are the foods that we're going to use this evening. All right, so we are going to start on page 18, and we're going to start with the blessing over the fruit, and specifically, we're going to pick up the dates.
Dates, okay.
Gotcha. Those are dates. Yeah, I'll cover it.
Okay, so if you have dates, you can sort of uncover them at the table. And remember, if you don't have dates at the table, you are fulfilling this just by pointing and looking.
Like
so I'm going to read here about dates, and then we'll say the blessing over the fruit, and then we'll say the special blessing associated with the wish that emerges from the beautiful date. So the dates come with a wish for peace and meaningful relationships.
Amen.
The traditional symbolism of the dates play on the Hebrew name Tamar, which is similar to Tam, meaning to end or to extinguish. This siman, this symbolic food, requests the end of our enemies and those who seek to harm us. Formulated in the positive, it's a request for peace and calm in the year to come. So eating a Rosh Hashanah meal with a room full of bachelors, bachelorettes, I don't know if there are any of those on the table. How about an English language twist? Pick up a date and wish everyone a successful year of dating and relationships.
Oh, God.
That is very cheesy or corny.
I didn't approve any of these puns.
But that is the spirit of the meal. So get used to it. All right. So,
oh God,
we're gonna say the special blessing.
So y'all take one,
yes, so
around?
everybody
Okay.
can take a date. If you want, you can just point to it. Honestly, I can't put another food in my mouth.
I like a date.
All right. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu sheyitamu oivenu v'sonenu v'chol mevakshe ra'atenu. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that enmity will end, and then this new year will bring peace for us and the entire world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Borei peri ha'etz. Amen.
Feeling like
May
a
it
good
be a
date
year
this year?
full of joyful dates, coffee dates, virtual dates,
Outside dates. Not just
Oh my
inside.
god.
quarantini dates.
Oh, good.
More Torah on tap
I
on
love a
Zoom.
good date.
Yep.
Yeah.
Torah on tap dates. All right.
Quick side commentary. If you want to look up, it's an amazing thing in Israel about how they found this 2,000-year-old date tree and reenact. If you heard the story, Google it after the holiday. You can actually taste a 2,000-year-old date tree. They found a seed for it, and they recreated it using kind of Israeli science, and you can actually taste it today. It's
They
actually
didn't.
amazing.
Wow.
They
Well, not it's not,
they
yeah, regenerated. I don't
yeah,
know.
regenerate.
Yeah. So check it out. It's
This is
amazing.
like plant
All right.
genetics.
Get fed. Leave you. Okay.
Does anybody have the Hebrew name Tamar? Are there any Tamars here in this group?
Tree dates. Can
I thought there was a name to
Oh
me.
my
Okay.
god, so you find his name tomorrow.
be fun.
Trish does.
Ah, nice.
Ah, cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Beautiful. All right. So that was a special one for you, Trish. All right. We're moving to the pomegranate.
Shadow pest.
And for those of you who haven't been to Beth Meyer recently, you know we have a beautiful pomegranate tree in our biblical garden.
Big.
Thank you to the volunteers of the biblical garden who
Take care
are
of that. It's amazing.
represented here. It's extraordinary. I mean, not only are the pomegranates delicious, but they're just so beautiful.
They're beautiful.
All right, so the pomegranate is a wish for good deeds. So the pomegranate, which ripens in Israel during the season of Rosh Hashanah, so too in Raleigh, has many sweet seeds inside of it, not to mention some awesome antioxidants. In fact, there's a midrash that states that there are 613 seeds in the pomegranate, symbolizing the 613 mitzvot. Whether or not this number is entirely accurate, feel free to count and see for yourself. That would be a fun experiment.
Seed for yourself.
Adi's done
Seed.
that.
Seed for yourself, he said. Oh my gosh.
Stop is
come
on it.
All right.
God.
Honey.
The pomegranate has come to symbolize mitzvot and good deeds.
Okay.
All right, so if you have some
Pass around
pomegranate
some
at your
pomegranate
table,
seeds.
pass it around.
Be careful of staining.
I was just going to say I'll share the family memory.
Oh,
My
God.
mom will be smiling. I used to love pomegranates as a young child. I still love pomegranates. And but my mom would insist that we would stand over the sink, like in our pajamas or naked, apparently, and eat them over the sink because they do stain. They do stain. All right.
Oh, God.
But we're not doing that on the call.
This is taking so many turns.
Do not worry. Okay. I told
Coming
you it
down
was
the
going to
door.
be at our house.
Exactly.
So it's very,
Outside.
very informal. All right. Here is the blessing. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shenihiyeh meleim mitzvot kerimon.
Okay.
May it be your will, Adonai, our God, that we be as full of good deeds as the pomegranate is full of seeds.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, so here's the food for thought. What would you like your life to be filled with this coming year?
Ooh.
Feel free to write
In
in.
the chat
Oh,
box.
yes.
Chat box. May Rob will read out your answers.
I will. I'm like Vanna
Because
White
I
and
can't
Alex
see
Trebek.
them.
Like Vanna White and Alex Trebek in all in one. Feels great.
Yummy. But these can even up.
Oh God. I know.
All right, are people writing in?
Acidic.
People are not writing in.
Sour.
We can start though. If you want to start it off. Okay. Nobody's writing in.
Good, just
All right,
not
we'll
ready
wait a
for it.
moment.
Just not right.
Good teachers know to wait.
Hugs, not virtual.
What was the question? Fill our
What
life.
would you like? What would you like your life to be filled with this year?
As seeds are in the pomegranate.
All right, Nayrob's
And
going to read it out
Pamela
loudly.
said hugs, not virtual.
Yes.
Oh, I'm into that.
Sybil and her family said time spent in nature. Stephen and Linda Abrams said effective vaccine,
Nice.
Amen.
not Clorox. Bonnie and the Pinkers said hope.
Tikva. Okay.
Family and friends from the Checkaways.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Please.
So
God.
beautiful. Amen
Yes.
to all.
Good
all of
health from Trisha and Mike.
Yeah.
that. Amen.
From Stephanie Weber, the ability to have my friends over for dinner.
Amen.
Oh,
I know.
I
I know.
love
Cole
that.
says friends.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Yeah.
true.
Health, love, and peace in the U.S. and in the world from Stephen Pilar.
Yeah. fair.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Ugh.
All right.
A new justice to carry on RBG's legacy. Yes.
Yes.
And
From me, Rob.
I'm still crying.
Alea
It's
shalom.
okay. From Marilyn.
Just a
Eleanor,
yes.
Eleanor, just yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Affirming.
Amen. Amen.
All right, beautiful. Okay, we're going to move to the next blessing, which is
Rubia.
for string beans, or you could do sesame seeds. So we have string beans at our table.
With sesame seeds on them.
Kind of an Asian.
Spice, kind of. Would you just eat them by
Yeah,
themselves?
so does anybody have any ideas about sesame seeds?
Completely full.
Why sesame seeds? How you would eat them?
Well, you can eat them
You can
plain,
eat
but
them,
why?
yeah.
You can eat them plain.
But that's a little
But I
bit
don't-
disgusting.
No,
I don't know
super
what.
They're actually very
easy.
nutritious. I know people who eat
I'm
them.
sure,
It's
but
a
you're not
very
going to just
common
down
food
them.
Middle Eastern.
in the Middle East.
All right.
But just a
And I don't
We'll
see them as an
we'll read a little bit about them.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. So the rubia, which is an Aramaic
Ooh,
word.
on a bagel. That's a good idea.
Oh,
Nachal.
yes,
On a bagel.
now we're talking. Okay, so the rubia represent a wish for prosperity and sharing. The rubia is one of the symbolic foods mentioned in the Talmud. It's a bean or legume, and is usually interpreted as green beans, green stream beans. The name is reminiscent of the word yirbu, which means to increase or be plentiful. Actually, it's the same root that Meirav's name comes from.
Okay,
It
Meirav.
does?
Yep, Meirav Rubia.
You learn new things every day.
Harbe, Rov.
Right.
Yeah.
With this siman, we
Mabit.
ask that our merits increase
Yeah.
and that we be blessed with plenty. At the same time, the rubia gives us an opportunity to remember and acknowledge those who are less fortunate. For their sakes, we wish not only that not only will this year be one of prosperity and plenty for us, but also one of giving and sharing with others. And here's the little note, not a fan of green beans. Try the Libyan version of the siman for prosperity rather than rubia. Jews from Libya mix sugar and sesame seeds to symbolize plenty. That's kind of like
Sugar and
chalva.
sesame seeds.
Yeah, chalva. Kind of chalva, exactly.
I was like,
Okay,
just-
so since the grains are
tiny.
so tiny and numerous that they cannot be counted. Beautiful. All right, here's the blessing. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu sheyirbu zechuyotenu utlabvenu. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that our merits increase, that we be blessed with everything we need, and that we share our blessing with others.
Amen.
Amen.
You know what's interesting about that too? You can't really tell the difference between the sugar and the sesame seeds when there's like a nut in there.
You need to speak loudly and share with everyone.
I'm sure. Oh,
You need to put
well,
your face with it.
something that I was just thinking about that was interesting that Ema would like me to share with everyone is that once the sesame seeds, now that I'm thinking about it, once the sesame seeds and sugar are all together and mixed, you can't really tell. I mean, you can probably tell, but you can't really tell which one is which kind of signifies this idea that our abundance can be everybody else's and
Yeah,
they're not.
fair. Intermixed, interdependent.
Yes.
You're fair.
Again, this comment is not indicative of me going to rabbinical school. This
Don't get
comment
any
is
ideas.
only analysis from the younger
Thanks for
parts of the
clearing
family.
that up.
Shkoyach, man.
I'm representing a D and a tongue.
Okay, shkoyach, shkoyach. All right. So, Karti.
All right, we're moving on to karti, which are leeks or scallions.
Ooh, favorite.
So we have scallions at our table.
Okay.
And actually, as we get to this, since we didn't say hamotzi at the beginning of the meal, we'll say a vegetable in addition for the vegetables that come up from the earth, borei pri adama, when we get to that point. But this leek or scallion represents a wish for friends and community, which means all of you
Amen.
and all of those we're thinking of who may not be here. Karti, leeks or scallions, resembles the word yiskartu, will be cut off.
Karet.
Right, karet, which is considered like the worst punishment in the Torah, that we be cut off from our people. Sometimes we think of that as a blessing. But
Not necessarily with social distancing.
We're telling all of our secrets now, but most of the time we want to be connected. All right. The traditional wish associated with this food asks that our enemies be cut off together with those who seek evil. Jews of Persian descent tear the scallions and throw them over their shoulders, sometimes reciting the actual names of the enemies that they wish to destroy.
Can we do that?
Let's be more positive.
Sounds fun.
For a more positive rendition, this siman may be formulated as a request to be blessed with good friends and community. So we're going to leave it to you.
To decide.
If you're feeling kind of, the great thing is you're on mute.
So no one has to know.
Who you're throwing
if
up
you're
against.
feeling kind of positive, you can be mindful of some people in particular in your community who you're thinking of. Somebody just went rogue. If you would like to name those enemies and sublimate your frustration
with a scallion throw,
inner aggression, you can feel free to do that too. We leave it to you. All right, but this time we're going to say the special wish for Karti, and then we'll say Bri Priyadama. So pass around your scallion or leek if you have it, or just point to it.
Throw this dude.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu sheyikartu oivenu v'sonenu v'chol mevakshe ra'atenu. May it be your will, Adonai our God, and that those who are against us not succeed, and that we be blessed with true supportive friends and community. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adam.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm throwing this over the shoulder.
Are you gonna say it? May Rob's gonna whisper, but she will be revealing names.
I'm sure if you know me at all, you know who I'm throwing a scallion over my shoulder for. So it's not necessarily a secret.
In all seriousness, it is such an awesome thing. And of course, we have this feature in the Passover Seder as well when we say, pour out your wrath upon our enemies. That we do, and we also, of course, have this with the holiday of Purim. We have these moments in which we can be very honest about wanting to see an end to our enemies without going out onto the streets and harming people, which is a natural human urge. So we don't do that. And instead we throw scallions over our shoulder.
It's human.
And do wacky things on Purim. All right. Now we're up to silka, and this is for beets or beetroot leaves. There are some really healthy people in our congregation, healthier than me, who I know, like, oh, I bet Sybil. There are probably others who probably know what to do with beetroot leaves. I'm not that advanced, but we do eat a lot of beets in my family. So,
okay, Ema eats a lot of beets.
I eat a lot of beets.
Good.
So that we can do. But if anybody has suggestions for what you could do with beetroot leaves, stick them in the chat. I'm curious.
Pilar's in the same.
Pilar's agreeing with me. Thanks, Pilar.
What did she say? Give them to you?
She
The
said
enemies
same.
thing.
All right. Any beetroot leaf thoughts? All right. Okay, so the beet is a wish for freedom and growth. Ooh. The Aramaic word salka, beet, resembles the word lehistalek, which means to retreat. In this blessing, we ask that our enemies retreat and that we be freed from those who wish us harm. If it's hard for you to relate to the Aramaic version, try the English. An alternative siman suggests that we succeed in following our true inner beat and path. All right, may we all march to the beat
of our own drum. Amen. In the year to come.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu sheyistalku oivenu v'sonenu v'chol mevakshe ra'atenu. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that all the enemies who might beat us will retreat, and that we will beat a path to freedom.
Amen.
May it be your will, Adonai our God, that we follow our true inner beat and reach our personal goals.
Amen.
How many beet puns can you fit in that word?
That was a lot of.
We did get two beetroot leaves recipes.
Put your face straight to the screen. You don't have to face me.
No, I'm just telling you.
Okay,
They can't
great,
see me
great.
anyways. Okay. We've got people juice them apparently.
Oh,
You can
yum.
bury them in a smoothie. You can
Oh.
saute them with caramelized onions, and that was
Wow.
from Sybil.
Wow.
Just as you thought.
I knew Sybil would come through.
The Pinker said my philosophy is to turn the beat around.
I love that.
That was great.
Turn the beat.
Oh God,
That's
Abba.
awesome.
You met somebody?
Okay, so
Yeah.
we just talked about meeting our personal goals. I don't know if anybody feels brave enough, but if you want to share with us a personal goal that you have, don't worry, we're not going to be like your accountability buddy.
We're not gonna beat
but,
you.
But sometimes it's very powerful just to say it out loud, right? So we share in our prayers so many things that we're working towards. We're asking God for strength and for steadfast resolve to help us meet our personal goals. But it can be really helpful to share those with each other. I know Eric and I have the tradition every year of making time before Rosh Hashanah to share with one another what we're working on, not necessarily having to do at all with each other, although sometimes that's also the case, really, but to just have somebody to hold our intentions with love. So anyone want to put anything in the chat box? You might inspire someone else. Can you put the chat up?
Yeah. Sorry. It's going up. We've still got 10 feet around.
We'll give it a moment.
Ema's a big goal setter. So we like setting goals in the Solomon family.
That's right.
Oh my God, did you get this song stuck in my head? Any goals?
I'm happy to get the ball rolling a little bit. One of my personal goals is to try to live with a little less worry. I've decided at this point of my life that worry is actually highly productive. There's a lot to be said for the ways in which worry is protective and helps me be prepared. But I probably hang on to a little bit too much. So I'm really working on releasing just a little bit extra each day. So whenever I get on my yoga mat, which is most days for a couple of minutes, if not for longer, I'm trying to release a little extra worry that I absolutely do not need to hold.
Dove Pinker says simplifying.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Elon Kleiners wants to know how to whittle a spoon.
Ooh.
Very
Formidable goal.
Yes.
Cole wants to enjoy this meal. That's a good one. Short term. Alison Chuckaway says working on figuring out the source of my triggers. Very
Nice.
important. Sherry and Svi say finding peace and contentment even in these difficult times.
So
true.
beautiful.
So true.
I
Wonderful.
know that I'm focusing on taking it day by day,
Amen.
which is very important for me.
Awesome, Rob.
Amen.
Thank you.
So great.
I try.
That's great.
Beautiful. Okay, feel free to continue writing them in. We're going to move on to kara. So this is the pumpkin or the gourd. And the symbol with this food is a wish to count our blessings. So I will just say before this, and I don't know if some other people will relate, I had a menu for all of our Rosh Hashanah meals. And I have, of course, had to go to like 5 stores in order to get them. And on the meal for tonight, I had listed out roasted butternut squash and roasted potatoes. And I thought, that's ridiculous. Like, we don't need all of that. So I didn't buy the squash at the store. And then, of course, I got home tonight to prepare for this evening. I was like, where's the squash? So I'm going to ask somebody else on this at this Seder who has a squash or a pumpkin. I think I see Pilar has
has a
real one.
pumpkin.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Geez,
Oh,
wow.
God.
Oh, look at the Pinkers.
Oh,
They have
that's
one
beautiful.
too.
Who else has?
Pinkers.
Pinkers. Wow, look,
Nice.
look at, oh, look at
Cole, Marilyn.
the Showman's got one
Eleanor,
too. A nice gourd. Look at that gourd.
Grunwald's, yeah.
Oh, people are
everybody's got
fired
it.
up.
Ooh, look
that.
at the checkerboards.
Mary
Look at
also.
full.
Great.
Wow.
Wow.
Beautiful. So
Good
we
job.
are pointing
The
to
Grunwalds too. A cute pumpkin.
Oh, yeah, so
That's
cute.
adorable.
pumpkins and gourds.
Ooh,
Wow.
pumpkin
Was
butter.
it gourd? Is that gourd or pumpkin?
Ooh,
Pumpkin butter from
Wow.
Steve and
Somebody
Linda.
went to Trader Joe's.
They made mini pumpkin pies.
Pumpkin pies.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I love
Amazing.
it. I
Fired
love
up.
it. 'Tis the season.
Ooh, roasted
All right.
butternut squash with ginger and basil from Pilar.
Ooh. All right,
that's
here we go.
Sorry.
The kara is identified as a pumpkin or a gourd. Kara, similarly pronounced, means to tear or to rend, right? Some people are familiar with the tradition of when you when a beloved has died, we tear that ribbon or the piece of clothing. So it's a slightly different spelling, but it also can mean to proclaim. The traditional blessing associated with the gourd asks that our bad decrees be torn up and our good merits be proclaimed. If we think of merits as blessings, then this siman effectively reminds us to proclaim and to count our blessings. All right, if you have a gourd or a pumpkin at your table, here is
your chance.
The intention. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetikra ro'a gezar dinenu v'yikaru lefanecha zechuyotenu. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that our bad decrees be torn up and our merits and blessings be proclaimed.
Amen, amen, amen. Enjoy the pumpkin, the gourd, if you can eat the gourd.
Someone said that they, Pamela said that she has simmus with squash, carrots,
nice.
parsnips, and sweet potatoes, and dried peaches and dates and honey.
Wow.
We were one-upped. We were really one-upped.
Boy, go for it. That's awesome.
Every possible vitamin C.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oop, Sybil has pumpkin jam.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool.
Who needs a vaccine?
I love it. And I will just say, like, one of the deeper things that I think about at this time is, we're asking God to tear up the decrees, and we're asking God to really look at us for our good and for our blessings. And so too, I think that's our own work, right? It's so easy to, as we review the past year, to just continually perseverate and kind of get stuck with the stuff that we wish we had done differently, the stuff that we wish was different about us, and to forget to count all the good stuff. So it's really a symbol as much directed as much to ourselves as it is to God, I think. All right, moving on to gezer, carrots. All right, we eat a lot of carrots in our family.
Natan is a huge carrot fan.
Yes. All right, so we always have an abundance of carrots, thank God. All right, so the carrots represent a wish for positive judgment. The Hebrew word for carrot, gezer, is reminiscent of the infinitive ligzor, meaning both to cut and to decree. Therefore, the carrot on the Rosh Hashanah table traditionally carries with it a wish that God judge us with positive decrees. Eastern European Jewish communities have adapted this as a blessing for plenty, since the Yiddish word for carrots, meren, can also mean increase. All right, so here is the special wish for carrots. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetigzor aleinu gzerot tovot.
Amen.
May it be your will, Adonai our God, to decree upon us good decrees and favorable judgments.
No.
And may we also judge each other favorably, especially as we begin this new year, still very, very fresh. I love to challenge myself to just be as gentle as possible, giving everyone positive benefit of the doubt. Sometimes it's hard to do, but perhaps if we forget along the way, we can remember back to the gezer, the carrot. All right, the next thing coming up is fish. Yeah, you can eat them all. Just take the whole bowl.
Okay.
If you have fish at your table, then that's great. Hold on. Here, just 1 second. Will you just mute, Meira?
Yeah, sure.
like to give some instructions to a child, and I did not want to embarrass that child. Okay, great. All right, so the next thing is fish. You may not eat fish in your family, which is totally fine and fantastic. So I had suggested in the preliminary emails that you might have goldfish crackers, or if you're not eating it, or Swedish fish or other kinds of things. We actually do have Swedish fish at our table for the non-fish eaters, but we're going to use that for the next one, the blessing for a Rosh, for a head.
Wow.
All right.
Oh,
That's just right there.
interesting.
Yeah. All right. This is like the perennial Seder problem. How do you fit things on the table?
Just know the dish is hot, guys.
We like never have space on the table for everything.
Okay, which is a blessing in and
Great.
of itself.
Yes.
All right. So if you want to take a little fish, you can.
Take a little fish.
If you'd like to take a little fish, you can. Let's do it. Beautiful. So if you do have fish, or even if you have Swedish fish, interestingly, it's the same blessing. It's the same blessing in Hebrew. We will say the blessing shehakol as well. All right. So this is a wishing. This is a fish wish for fertility and growth. So you can interpret that however you wish. Some communities serve fish on Rosh Hashanah as a symbol of bounty and fertility. If you'd prefer a vegetarian alternative, try fish crackers or fish-shaped gummy candies. They'll represent the same themes and blessings for the new year. All right, here we go. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shenifra v'nirbeh Hidagi. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that we be fertile and multiply like fish. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihyeh bidbaro.
Amen.
Stop worrying about bunnies.
We like multiplying fish.
Awesome.
Stephen and Linda Abrams are having
Lox. Yes.
Nice.
Good
Great
call.
choice.
The ultimate Jewish choice.
Belly,
Great choice.
it's coming. It's coming.
Yes. All right. The next one that we have here is for a head. So you may not have a head of anything on your table, but we do have some creative options here. If you don't have a head of a fish, we're using little Swedish fish heads. You could have a head of lettuce. It says here in the Haggadah a head of beer. I'm not a beer expert, so I don't even know what that is.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it on Torah and Tap.
Okay.
Also, this is very special for the Solomon family because Ema does not usually buy candy, so I'm very excited for this one. This is a Shechian. Yes, this is.
All right, so this is a wish for leadership, and I want to say that everybody can be a leader, and there are so many different ways to lead, big and small, ways that we see and ways that we don't. But whenever you follow your own heart and your own true path, and you help others do the same, you are leading.
Amen.
Very true.
Many communities serve the head of a fish or a lamb on the Rosh Hashanah Seder table. Don't worry, no one said that you had to eat it. Good. Either of these may represent the wish of being like the head in the new year and not the tail, a leader, not a straggler. The lamb's head, the brains were removed and cooked, also serves as a reminder of the ram that was sacrificed in the story of the binding of Isaac, which we will read tomorrow.
Classic.
Okay, Baghdadi Jews stopped using the fish as a siman because its Hebrew name, dag, sounds like the Hebrew word for worry, da'aga.
Oh.
All right, here we go. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu shenihiyeh lerosh ve'lo lezanav. May it be your will, Adonai our God, that we be like the head
And not like the
and
tail.
not like the tail.
I mean, enjoy it.
Although sometimes leaders have to be flexible and be able to lead from the back. And I find that that's a very good one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, beautiful.
Leading from the back is also just as important as leading from the front.
And as a family with 5 leaders,
Passionate ones and loud ones.
it can be a little much.
A follower would not be unwelcome in this.
I'm looking at Deborah Goldstein on this Seder call, and I'm just reminiscing about all of our preschool conferences. Deborah was our beloved preschool teacher, among other beloved preschool teachers. And every time we'd come in for the conferences, as the kids were in their last year, she'd say, okay, so we, so Mayrav or Adi or Natan, the leader in the class. We would sort of shake our heads like, yeah, we know. And it's wonderful, and we're so grateful.
Somebody
And
said
sometimes it's
head of
challenging.
cauliflower.
Oh, that's great. I love
Head of
that.
cauliflower.
We are also big cauliflower fans.
We are huge
So,
cauliflower fans.
Yeah.
Yes, we consider it meat. We love it.
Definitely a good substitute.
That's great. Okay, so our last official siman is the apple dipped in honey.
Yeah, and your fifth.
Abba's favorite.
And of course, this is a wish for sweetness. And I love also that these foods, I mean, this is really like the ancient version of farm to table, right? These are foods that are naturally ripening and being harvested at this time of year. So we're not, the rabbis were very practical and environmental in that way. We're not, I guess if you were in Costa Rica, you could put a mango on the table, but yes.
Yeah, Pilar's like, yeah.
All right. The most well-known of the symbolic Rosh Hashanah foods, the apple dipped in honey, is common in Ashkenazic traditions. The Iraqi custom, for comparison's sake, is to eat a baked apple with sugar, while in Yemen, quinces, did I say that right? Quinces?
Yeah.
Were served instead of apples. In all variations, these foods represent the wish for a sweet year to come. The sage, the Hafetz Chaim, reminds us that the sweetness should be reflected in our mood too. Avoid anger, for it is a bad omen for the coming year. Rather, we should be sweet of temperament on Rosh Hashanah. All right, everyone, you ready?
Yeah.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetechadesh aleinu shana tova u'metuka. May it be your will, Adonai our God, to renew us for a good and sweet new year. Amen, amen.
Sephardi's have it so much better.
Just lower on the side.
All right, so we are at the point of the Seder where I would like to invite folks. No. I would like to invite folks to share if you have a food that you would like to turn into a blessing and that you have a pun to go with it. Okay? So you need a symbolic food, you need a blessing and a wish, and it should have some kind of punny quality.
Oh, I just got one.
All right, we're gonna wait. Rob's gonna monitor the chat box. And then when you have something, unmute yourself and share it with us.
Pilar said we all be sweet to each other.
Pilar, you want to unmute yourself?
She said maybe we'll all be sweet to each other.
Beautiful. Yes. May we all be sweet to each other. Great.
Holly and Company started using Herbie Hancock's Headhunters as our head last year. Is that a
Herbie Hancock's in position?
I don't know. Tell us more.
Oh, that was a message to Holly. No problem. We've all made that mistake.
Any other puns?
I hope my Seder celebration passed mustard.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That was nice. That's nice.
Every time we say, my bad.
I have a knock-knock joke.
Ooh, you have a knock-knock joke? Let's hear it.
I actually have 2 knock-knock jokes.
Can you speak a little bit louder? Sorry.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Honey,
Honey who?
honey, would you please cut me a piece of apple pie?
That's a good one.
That went over really well with my grandkids. And my other knock, knock joke
Go ahead.
is
Go ahead.
knock, knock,
Oh, their
another
favorite.
one.
Knock, knock.
Who's
Who's
there?
there?
shofar.
Shofar.
Who?
Shofar, so good.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yes,
shofar,
Shikaya.
good.
Nice one.
Classic.
Classics.
Oh, I'll serve an ace pass in a time.
Oh, nice.
Trash talk.
Nice.
Who's that? Who's that?
That was from the Pinkers.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna go grab my special reveal.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
yeah. Wow. Okay. End
Should
of
I
the thoughts
share
here.
mine?
Okay, Mirav, what's yours? Say it loud and
Ima made these amazing Brussels sprouts this year for Erev Rosh Hashanah. And so I was like, just like the Brussels sprouts, may I, sprout out from senior year and go into
College.
the outside world in college. Hopefully.
God willing.
God
Please,
willing.
God willing.
So that was my pun.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Any other punny things to offer while Rebbe Jenny gets her reveal?
Salt, to remember to take everything with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Oh, good
I love it.
one.
Nice. Very nice. Nice. That's
So
awesome.
great.
That's perfect. Totally in the spirit.
What is it?
Okay, so our family, my kids don't know this yet,
Uh-oh.
but for dessert tonight, not yet, people.
No.
This is going to be one of the treats.
Are you kidding?
No way.
OMG.
Yes.
Finally, Natan comes to the table. Okay,
Yeah.
here's what happened. Oh my
So
God.
there are graham crackers, including gluten-free, Hershey's chocolate, and vegan marshmallows.
Yeah, Natan is dancing right
May
now.
there be s'more love, s'more justice, and s'more peace.
Amen.
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 We're getting s'mores tonight. Yes. Yes.
This really is a good Rosh
Doing the whole over
Hashanah.
here.
That was a good food pun.
Good job.
All right, anybody else want to jump in?
We had one more. We had for kids garlic your homework this year.
Oh, I love that.
That was
That's
cute.
great. Beautiful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, friends. So depending where you are, the sun may or may not have set, maybe not in Seattle yet, but it has set here, and we're transitioning now into the time for lighting candles. So actually our flame that we have for lighting is inside. So hang tight while I go get that. If you have candles that you want to light at your table for the Chag, this is the time to do it.
While we are getting ready here to light candles and to get our challah and things like this, I want to say that I just noticed amidst this whole wonderful group that I have my favorite Hebrew school teacher here on the call. I just saw Susie and Kimmy. You can't hide back there. Susie, Raymond Gold, and Kimmy, her daughter, who are my friends from my religious school class back when I was a lot of years ago, Gavalt. And it was a huge inspiration huge influence on me as a young Jewish person. And it's deeply inspired me to become a rabbi today. Absolutely. I'm so happy to see you, Susie. It's amazing. Thank you for everything. Hashanah Tova to you and Kimmy and your whole family. And just really, it gives me such nachas to see you. I can't wait to catch up. But see what happens. See what you created. This is what happens. And not only am I a rabbi, I married a rabbi. It's what I do. It's because of you. And I want to thank you so much and give you hakara to recognize all the influence you've had.
Thank you too.
Shana Tova. Okay. Go. Let's just like.
Am I on?
You're on.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this tremendously. What a pleasure to be around you. Thank you so much, Jenny. You've been fantastic.
Oh, I'm so
Just a
happy
complete
to have you
delight.
with Susie. Eric mentioned
Everybody as well.
I have to say Mrs. Raymond. I can't say Susie, but it's okay. I'm getting over it.
You can say anything you can call me anything you want. Just call me. It's fine. This was a surprise. Kimmy surprised me with this.
Oh.
After dinner, she said, "Come on, let's go watch Eric," and I couldn't believe it. Thank you so much. This has been a joy for us.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova Mitika.
Bye, Kimmy. It's so good to see you.
Beautiful.
Be well.
So the tradition is, of course, on Shabbat, we light the candles first, and then we say the blessing. On Chag, we say the blessing first, and then we light the candles. And we're saying Lahadlik Ner Shel Yom Tov. You ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov. All right. So if you have wine or juice at the table and you want to join us in Kiddush, we're going to pass around some of our own.
I might look like it, but I'm not old enough yet.
So if you still have your Haggadah handy, you can feel free to flip back. All right.
Oh, the Pinkers have a question.
Oh, great.
Why do we light candles on the second night of Rosh Hashanah? Isn't it already a Chag? So shouldn't be prohibited from lighting. Please enlighten me.
Oh.
You really threw down the gauntlet. You really did it.
Leave it to the wordsmith. Okay, so the reason that we light candles again, and we do it in a special way. We can't actually, traditionally, according to Jewish law, halacha, ignite or extinguish a flame on a Chag day, but we can transfer a flame. So that's sort of different on Yom Tov, on Chag, than it is on Shabbat. On Shabbat, not only can we not light a flame or ignite one or extinguish, but we also cannot transfer it. Actually, the example that I always think of is, I remember being in Israel, you know what I'm gonna say, and like all the yeshiva guys were out smoking on Chag, like on Yom Tov, because you can transfer a flame. But that's not good. You should not do that. This is not what I'm recommending.
Should we talk about these yeshiva guys, Jay, a little bit?
Yeah, seriously.
But the idea is that you can, and that's why actually, traditionally on Chag, we light a yahrzeit candle when we light candles at the very beginning of the holiday. And that yahrzeit candle, of course, is in memory of those who we've loved and lost, who are not with us. But it also serves a very practical purpose, because then it becomes a source for the flame that we can then transfer. Does that make sense?
Yes, great answer. Rabbi.
All right, great.
Nice, Rabbi Demi.
Here we go, Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'am u'banu mikol lashon v'kidshanu mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim ki banu bacharta v'otanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim ודברך האמת וקיים לעד, ברוך אתה אדוני מלך כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ביום הזיכרון. לחיים.
L'chaim.
I have a question.
Ooh, great.
Ken, Susan.
Why is it that you say the blessing first and then light?
I don't really know the answer to that question. I do? Oh, yes, I do. Of course I do. Of course I do.
These are really cool halakhic questions.
Yes, I do know the answer, but you're going to explain it better.
For you
That's it.
Jewish nerds.
So in general, everything we do in Judaism, basically for Jewish practice, observance, is first recite the blessing and then
do the action.
That is the general practice in general. There are some situations where it gets a little more complicated, but that's the idea. And the idea is they actually should connect it and not have any kind of break in between the two things. So you say the blessing, by the time you conclude it, go immediately to it. In fact, what we're going to now, say a blessing of Archala. When we say the blessing, you're not supposed to speak. you eat the challah. So that's like just a general practice, but connecting a blessing to the actual action. Right, Susan, make sense?
Right, but why do you say the blessing before you light the candles? Or do I have it backwards?
That is the exception.
Okay, so the issue of Shabbat, it's a great question. So Shabbat, and just a brief answer, is that there's a challenge. You can't light fire on Shabbat. But if you say the blessing, then in a sense you've starting Shabbat, then you can't light. You're caught in this quandary. So what you do is you light it, cover your eyes, and then when you remove your eyes, it's lit. That's the idea.
Wow.
Susan, great question. I didn't realize you were asking about Shabbat. You're asking me Yom Tov. Great question.
I'm sure that could be a very, very long halakhic discussion that you can always get into with my parents. They would probably love to talk about that with you for like 5 hours.
Wait for next class, Susan. Great job.
Oh, God.
So.
And by the way, just on that topic, that's why you can always bring in Shabbat early. You can't end Shabbat early, but you can actually bring in Shabbat early. Usually candle lighting, there's like kind of an 18-minute window period of time. Of course, the best of all is when you're in Jerusalem or other areas in the other cities in the land of Israel, and there's a siren that everybody can hear to let you know that that time has arrived. But Hebcal, Hebcal, can perform the same thing, and not with as much spirit and fanfare, but you can find out all your candle lighting times for Chag and for Shabbat with that great tool online. All right, so we are going to wash our hands to officially start our meal. This was all like the appetizers. So if you want to wash before you're eating challah, great. If you don't, you can just join in with us.
Say the bracha loud bit?
Yes. I'll wait for everyone to wash.
So, in Christianity, wine represents the blood of Christ. Why does it represent? What does it represent in Judaism?
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לכם מן הארץ.
Now they can answer your question.
All right. Sorry for the delay, first of all, but that's an opportunity to explain that when we wash our hands before we say hamotzi, traditionally we don't say anything between that blessing for hand washing and the blessing for challah, for hamotzi, for the bread. There's an intimate connection between the lifting and washing of our hands and being prepared to partake in this food and the eating itself. So that's why I didn't answer your question immediately. In tradition, usually during that time when everybody's washing their hands, it's lovely to sing a nigun or something like that so that people can be continue to feel connected. I'm kind of maintaining that momentum of spirit even though we're not talking. To answer your question, wine or the fruit of the vine, whether it's grape juice or wine, is a symbol of joy. And so we use this symbol of joy to mark time, to celebrate time. Anytime we say kiddush, the word kiddush means to make holy or separate or special. So we're sanctifying this moment in time. And the way that we've always done that ritually and historically is to raise a glass of wine or juice to make that distinction. Great question. Other questions or just reflections on the Seder or other foods, or maybe you've had other Rosh Hashanah Sedarim, Seders in the past and you want to share a story or another food that you've partaken?
I don't know about everyone here, but I thoroughly enjoyed services this morning in my pajamas. It was amazing. I might recommend that we do this every year.
Oh no, please don't.
Please
Please don't.
Maybe not online, but just wearing PJs and shul. Stephanie Weaver made her grandmother's simmus last night, just carrots.
Oh, nice.
Lovely. Thank God, Stephanie. That's beautiful.
Did we do the new fruit?
Oh,
Is that a
yes?
Yeah. Is that
That
a
is
thing?
another tradition. So we of course want to say as many blessings as possible. In fact, Rabbi Meir suggests that we say 100 blessings a day, which I think is a pretty great goal for all of us, whether they're formal blessings or not. And one of those ways to increase our blessings is to, anytime we do something brand new, so like Eric and I each had something that we wore today, or sometime during the holiday that was brand new. It could be shoes or a belt. It doesn't have to be like a whole outfit. They're all different things that anytime you have something new, it's a new technical device, anything new. My kids know when you walk out of Mobley's shoes, where they always got shoes as kids, you walk out of the door and you say Shechianu. So you say Shechianu whenever you do something new. And of course, since we're starting the new year, one of the ways that we can increase those blessings is to eat a new fruit. And for most of us, that's not hard to do because we've just started the new year. So if anybody has something else new at their table,
Can tell
we
what
can
it
say,
is, something special.
tell us what it is, and we can say Shechianu with you. Oh, we open the chat box?
Yeah, it's just not
I know.
going. Okay.
It's just cool.
A sumo mandarin.
Ooh, who has that?
That was Sybil.
Of course.
Sybil's killing it with this. The Pinkers have a new gluten-free challah.
Oh, yes.
Mary said honey from a student, but it's not a fruit.
Okay.
Still a new thing.
That's lovely.
Still a new thing.
Great. So we're going to say Shechianu with you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kiyamanu v'yanu l'zman hazeh. Thank
Deborah
you, God.
Goldstein
Yeah.
said she had dragon fruit.
Ooh, dragon fruit. I
That's
still have never had one to this day. I've looked at them and I've wondered. They look really cool, but I feel like I need to do it with someone.
Is that risky?
It's just not something I want to do on my own.
Stephanie Weaver said she ran into a friend from Duke last week and she brought me a challah she made this morning.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, Pilar and Steve Lasella have the first time I made Rabbi Jenny's mom's gluten-free challah. It was amazing.
Yay!
Safta's right here.
Yay! My mom is here to thank. That's so great.
Maryland.
Maryland? Oh, did I miss it? Oh, since I've just started my conversion journey, all of Rosh Hashanah is new to us.
Oh, beautiful. Everything is a Shechianu. We're celebrating with you.
Maura Deborah said she'll save it and we can share it when we get together again.
Oh,
so you can have the dragon fruit with someone else.
I love that. It's a date.
We did something new and different, thanks to COVID, and that is we had dinner in our garage so that we could have separate tables. And Rachel and the kids and Mark were here. And we had one table and they had another table and we were far away and our garage never looked better.
Oh, that's beautiful. And the weather cooperated.
And the weather cooperated.
Great.
Wanted to show this dinosaur kippah from Maura Deborah from your room.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that.
Throwback.
I remember that.
I think it was made lovingly by Cece.
Yes.
Rabbi Jenny, I have a guest for you.
So great.
My other guest.
We have so many great
Amazing.
memories from our preschool days, me and Adi.
Yes.
So many pictures, so many fun moments.
Anyone else have any other special, just Rosh Hashanah traditions, maybe that aren't necessarily part of that don't necessarily come from the Talmud, but things that you either grew up with or things that you've started or things that you would like to start as a tradition. Deborah.
Well, we actually had a question at our Rosh Hashanah table last night. One of the things we read is that black-eyed peas are a symbol that's sometimes associated with Rosh Hashanah, and it symbolizes plenty. And as anybody knows who's lived in the South for any amount of time, Southerners traditionally eat black-eyed peas on New Year's Eve for the same reason. So our question was, are these related customs? And if so, who had them first and where did we get them from? Or is it just a coincidence that Jews and what I think is probably an African-American tradition that was translated to the South have the same tradition? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
That's cool.
There's a cool Jewish food historian stuff like in the forward. That's a really great question.
But also when we one of the first blessings that we said for, was it string beans or maybe it was for pomegranates? No, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but was also for legumes.
It was the string beans one.
Was the string
You said
beans?
string
Okay,
beans and legumes.
so string beans and legumes. So I don't know the technical answer to that question, but my instinct just tells me it's just another reminder of our humanity, of our humanness, and that even people from different places on earth with different climates and different growing cycles would have the same intuition about the foods that we would want to eat to celebrate the new year. And anytime I'm reminded of our humanity, our human connection, I just love it.
Yeah,
so
it's
thanks,
awesome.
Deborah.
Deborah raised her hand.
It was very cool. We had a lot of speculations that, there are traditions that there were Jews who went down to Africa and maybe it was a tradition that they brought with them. And then the African slaves brought it to this country. And we had quite a discussion about it last night.
It's very cool.
Sounds
Deborah.
like a great
Call it
research
kavod.
project of being Jewish. Stephanie,
It does sound like a great research project, doesn't it? When I'm done writing the paper I'm writing, maybe I'll look into it.
All right, Stephanie.
Okay, Stephanie.
I was going to say that yesterday evening when I went to my dance lesson, I wore a nicer dress than usual because it was Rosh Hashanah. And when all the instructors that are there are from the Ukraine, when I told him it was Rosh Hashanah, he wanted to know why all these Israelis, it was a big deal about going to Ukraine this year and they weren't allowed to go. And he wanted to know why they all wanted to go to some like random town outside Odessa. And so I was explaining to him what I read in the paper and what Hasidic was and why they all wanted to go there. And that's what I did for the first 10 minutes of my dance lesson yesterday.
Yes, so here we go. This
It's
is
not just Orthodox, by the way, not just Hasidic, but yes, you're right. You're absolutely right,
it's
Stephanie.
another interesting, little-known topic.
The town of Uman, where Rabbi Nachman of Wroclaw, a Hasidic
Master.
Or Nachman's school.
is buried, and there's a tradition that started small to visit his grave around this time, Rosh Hashanah, for certain prayers, and it's become an incredible. It's actually a tourism industry, you might call it, but there's also kinds of stories about it. It's not all perfect.
I think that there's a lot of very holy and
inappropriate behavior that happens there. Also,
some inappropriate behavior that goes on in that particular
the best of it, but
pilgrimage.
yeah.
we'll call it.
Complicated. But it didn't happen this year due to the coronavirus issues, and Israel's sadly under a lockdown. Some of us, we have relatives in Israel, and Israel went specifically in this 3-week period from Rosh Hashanah through Simchat Torah under what's called the Seder, like a true lockdown. What do you call it? Home? What do you call it? You can't leave your house. 500 meters.
Yes.
Whole thing. We had the same thing here. What do you call it? Home.
It's a lockdown.
Lockdown. Yeah. So it's terrible, but it's stay-at-home order. That's a stay-at-home order. Stay-at-home order, and so those couldn't even leave for that country. Also, it's complicated.
Mary has a question. Is there a substitute for challah for low-carb single people? Crackers.
I wish.
Abo, you have an opinion?
All right,
on
so the requirement
I
for
think it's pretty
challah
low-carb Jewish.
is that it has to be made of one of the 5 grains of oats, wheat, barley, rye, or spelt. Thankfully, for the gluten-free among us, oats are on that list, and now that oats can be grown and processed in a non-contaminated fashion, we can actually use that to make challah that we can say a blessing on. I'll say this, I don't eat that many carbs. I just feel better when I don't, but I have challah every week and it's so special. So my very personal answer is the path of moderation. It's good to have a little something. And I will say that, they make challahs, like you can order them
Small ones.
You could buy them too. You could make a challah instead of making like a large challah. You could make little challah rolls, like little, what do they call that? Yeah, in Hebrew we call them lachmaniyot, like a little tie knot roll. How do they call that?
Like a garlic knot, but like
Yeah.
a challah roll.
Yeah.
Abba had a funny joke. He doesn't believe that really any Jewish food is a low carb food.
Yeah.
And unlike Ema, the rest of our family is very pro carb. I didn't know that would be a controversial issue, but apparently it is.
I appreciate that. Not one of
Yes.
Ready?
Is there a question here? Is Sophia something? Sophia? Or no? Oh.
You guys are on mute if you wanted to ask a question.
Oh, now, okay, so I have a comment, a quick comment. I noticed in this book something that was interesting to me when it talks about, there was a Hasidic tradition of dipping challah in honey. Now, my parents always did that, and I thought they were just too cheap to buy apples. So after all these years, I realized that maybe where they said certain communities, maybe apples weren't available. I don't know. I always thought it was their particular, thing. But for the first time, I realized there was a tradition of using challah. If nothing else comes out of this, it's been very helpful to me.
Yeah, it's a great story.
God.
It's also my house was growing up, but we had honey on our challah.
Yeah.
And to actually have it throughout this holiday period, like every time you have a holiday, Sukkot, so it's doing salt to doing honey. Some people also like on it when someone's getting married or even a bar mitzvah, sometimes they actually put honey then too, especially. But you're right. I hear what you're saying. It's a funny thing. That is funny. Cute.
Did you say that when a couple gets married, the whole first year?
Yeah.
All right.
Anyone else want to share something? Pinkers?
Yes, that's also a new one.
Some of the people in our family, I'm not even sure if they know this. Cher will be particularly excited to hear that tomorrow we are planning to go on a short hike to blow the shofar.
Wow. Like on a mountain?
Yes.
Yes, we've actually, since we've had a lot of smoke here, today is the first day that the air has returned to normal. So we're also celebrating.
Thank God.
Thank God.
What a
God.
beautiful
Wow,
Rosh
that
Hashanah
is- thank God.
blessing.
Way to
Yeah.
bring
I
in the new
love
year.
that. I'm gonna picture
please
you
God,
guys
New
on
Year.
that mountain, blowing the shofar. Ah,
Amen.
may it be beautiful and safe, and breathe deeply.
Send us a picture.
All right, anyone else?
Pleasure.
All right. Did they unmute?
No, I think we're good. Okay.
Great. All right, friends, we are going to do one very last ritual, which is Havdalah. So I feel like this has also been kind of a nice lesson in halakha tonight, like a good Jewish law lesson. So it is now, at least in Raleigh, Shabbat has ended, and we're transitioning not into the new week, but we're actually going from holy time to holy time. So the blessings are slightly different. And I'm going to go get the Havdalah set right now so that we can do that.
Why don't you just move that?
You thought you were signing on to a Zoom with the rabbis when in reality they were roping you in for a halakha class.
Nice, May.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. I feel s'mores. Smells so good outside.
Wait for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, Havdalah.
Light it.
Okay.
Light it.
You know.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Light it.
Yeah.
And then just hold it over a napkin on your plate. Okay.
So again, it's unique. We did blessing over wine, blessing over fire,
Good.
and we actually don't do spices in this transition. Okay.
Sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, bohorei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, bohorei meorei ha'esh. Let your hands reflect on the candle. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, abdil ben kodesh lekodesh, ben or lechoshech, בישראל העמים, מיום השביעי לששת ימי המעשר. ברוך אתה אדוני, מבדיל בין קודש לקודש.
I put it out.
Yeah. Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishvi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu agiladim, Bimera ve'amenu, Yavo elenu, Imoshiach ben David, Imoshiach ben David. Shana Tova, 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 Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Stay tuned tomorrow if you want to join us online at 9 o'clock for family service, 10 o'clock for adult service, and more davening and sermons and stuff. Enjoy. Shana Tova, everyone. Shana Tova. What a